Hi everyone, welcome to the Simple Souls podcast. I'm Leslie. I hope you're having a great day, and I would love you to support my podcast channel by sharing, subscribing, and leaving a like, of course. So, the majority of us are about to enter another school year. I'm going to be a senior this time, and I'm excited, but I'm also kind of dreading it based on the situations that took place during my junior year. But before getting into that story, I just want to put it out there that I am deciding to share it because my goal and the whole aspect of creating this podcast is to be vulnerable, to be open, to be real, and to help people with their own journeys in life as well. With that being said, junior year was the first school year back to in-person classes ever since ninth grade, but it was an okay transition for me going back to school, and the first semester actually went pretty well. Then after winter break, beginning the second semester, I decided to push myself a little bit more just because that whole semester is focused on a lot of exams. I had to take the SBAC, CAS testing, the SAT, AP exams, and then regular finals. And honestly, I had a very toxic mindset when it came to school, which led to not allowing myself to mess up for any reason. However, it was about a month in when I had to go do a regular physical and get some tests done that my doctor had requested. By that point, though, I was fed up with the amount of work I would have each week because I really only had Sundays as a day off, and then the Monday after, I'd get another workload. So some time goes by, I get the results, and end up finding out that I had very high stress levels, which kind of made sense at the moment because I was having a lot of meltdowns, and I was very emotional and just stressed out completely. Usually as a student, you do get fed up with everything, but that time it just wasn't, I guess, as normal as it should be. Moving forward to the middle of February, two serious incidents happened within the same week that pushed my limits too far, and I developed anxiety. I completely stopped going to school for about a month, and my grades all dropped a letter, and it was very disappointing to me because I did have and was building a good reputation for myself academically. March comes along, and I was still dealing with anxiety, but this time I was going to school a bit more, and I was getting the help I needed, thankfully, but it just got progressively worse to the point where I got into a very depressing stage in my life, and it was just a lot for me to handle, to be honest. It took a lot of energy for me to simply show up anywhere or to do one task alone. It just felt very draining, and then afterwards I would end up crying, or I would end up just needing to have some space to myself. Despite my mental and physical health, though, I was still trying to do everything I could and tried to work with my teachers too, just to make sure that I wasn't going to fail. And I had constant battles with myself because I literally went from an A student to having C's and D's. And, that's very overwhelming for me personally because I'm not used to having those grades or even being in that range of grades, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to sound cocky either, but that's just how I was raised, and that's just who I am as a student. Meanwhile, at home, I spent hours just laying down. Again, I didn't have the energy to do anything, and I was confused because you would think that the things you signed up for and the things you were working towards should make you happy and should make you feel like you accomplished something, but it was actually the opposite for me. And unfortunately, it just got worse and continued to the end of the school year. But 2 weeks before the end, my doctor reached out and let me know that there was a chance I had a tumor because my test results kept coming back with abnormal numbers. Not knowing how to react, not knowing what that meant for me, and already being emotionally and mentally unavailable, I was just done with everything. But I had to get an MRI done, and school had ended by the time my doctor confirmed that I did have a benign tumor. I was obviously terrified and felt like I couldn't do anything anymore until I had to reflect and come clear with myself. No one wants to go through traumatic experiences. No one wants to be known for their unfortunate events or backgrounds, but it isn't anybody's choice or even knowledge if they go through something, no matter what it is, where it is, or when in their lifetime they go through it. Now it's been 2 months with treatment, and I'm happy with the progress I've made, but I do still have my moments, and it does make me a bit shaky thinking about the chances of having to go through it again. And I think I can speak for most people who've gone through something like this, or just something traumatic in general, because it was such a personal experience that might have changed me for better things, or at least, made me heal and grow into someone better. But it took so much of the person I was trying to create at the same time. It became clear what wasn't working for me anymore, who didn't have the right intentions with me, what I should have been focusing on. And these moments of healing slash growing reshaped a lot of what I've been working towards throughout my life, so it was uncomfortable. It was sad, it was a lot for me to handle, but in the end, it was just one of those like crazy life changing events that ended up being something you needed. Even if it sounds crazy, that's how it feels now. And I say that because sometimes you do need to go through something to realize where you are in life, or as a sign to help you notice that, like things have to change now. This is time for growth. And, sometimes people don't go through serious events to make that happen, but for other people it does. And I think the whole reason I wanted to share this in the beginning is because we are going back to school. And, going back to school means going back to a routine or going back to this and that. But this could be your year to also change something if you would like to do that. But for me personally, I feel like this year is really about just reflecting off of that and trying to go through it without having to worry or without having to be anxious, without even thinking about what I used to go through, and really just focusing on how I can better myself. And the one thing that stuck with me through it all was remembering that you cannot be or have positivity 24/7. You can't go through life without being sad, without crying, or being angry, because those emotions have as much value as you take happiness. If it wasn't for my anxiety, I would have never realized the importance of a simple favor like giving yourself a break. If it wasn't for the depression I went through, I would have never realized how toxic I was being to myself and who wasn't there to actually be there. Coming to an end and more of the story, I did go through a very traumatic experience, and for it having to go through my education, or at least during my education, it's hard to accept that this new school year is going to be different for me, because I only know what I've been through and what has happened. And, obviously I don't know what's going to happen, but I am going through it with high hopes and expectations, and, just trying to ease it out before even going in there. So if you've made it to the end of my very first episode, I really do thank you for that, and I wish you the best in this new month and in this new upcoming school year, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.